Protests over the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis ignite the country and the world. But this isn't new for us. Protesters demonstrated for more than a year after Michael Brown died in Ferguson. Tonight, the reality of racism in the Gateway City.
If black lives really matter, why aren't we trying to save those lives?
And what's being done to break racial barriers.
Retaliation, we all family.
Welcome to this Fox 2 News special report. St. Louis taking a stand against racism. Good evening, I'm Shirley Washington. You know, there's been a tremendous increase in racial awareness since the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. Black Lives Matter protests and urgent calls for change have taken place throughout the Gateway City area. And candid, sometimes painful conversations about racism and racial injustice have been held to help break racial barriers. We are joined tonight by Reverend Tracy Blackman, Senior Pastor of Christ the King United Church of Christ, Dr. Deborah Krause, President of Eden Theological Seminary, Rabbi Susan Talvey, founder of Central Reform Congregation, Pastor John Chung, Spiritual Formation Leader at the Journey Tower Grove, Dr. Javier Orozco, Executive Director of Human Dignity and Intercultural Affairs with the Archdiocese of St. Louis, and Reverend Clinton Stansel, Senior Pastor of Wayman AME Church. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Shirley, for having us.
Let's start the conversation talking about major issues facing St. Louis as they relate to systemic racism. What are you seeing? Reverend Blackman, let's start with you.
Thank you for the question. I was taken aback by the film that was shown before we came on. Certainly the death of George Floyd has catapulted this region and this nation, but St. Louis didn't need that. St. Louis has been in the streets for over 6 years now since the killing of Michael Brown Jr. And I would argue that the way St. Louis has been in the street has been a motivator for protest all around this nation. What I'm seeing in St. Louis continues to be a tale of two cities, a tale of two police departments, a tale of two or more communities. And they don't all agree that Black lives matter. And that doesn't always come down to a defining line of demarcation about color of skin, for we certainly are seeing some Black people who also don't believe Black lives matter, who are in positions of power and authority here. We saw it in this recent election when the protest movement and the organizing done in this city resulted in election results that did not make everyone happy. And so today in Jefferson City, the Missouri legislature had to debate and thankfully defeat legislation that was intended to go against the people's choice, which is a racist decision to make. In St. Louis, we have two police associations. The Ethical Society of Police was founded because of the racism and the bias in the St. Louis Police Department. So St. Louis has a long way to go in our fight for justice and our fight for racial equity.
And you mentioned the Ethical Society of Police. You know, that organization released a report outlining systemic racism within the St. Louis Police Department just today. Reverend Blackman, you served on the Ferguson Commission. What, if anything, can St. Louis learn from Ferguson in regards to police reform?
Well, at this point, Shirley, I think that it is woefully ignorant of St. Louis not to pay attention to what was brought out in the Ferguson Commission report. Over and over again, we're making the same mistakes. So I can't say that it's a situation of not being able to learn, but knowing and not wanting to do any better. And that's a different problem, right? If we had enacted the recommendations of the Ferguson report, we would be in a different position already. And the report released by the Ethical Society of the Police show us that there is an intentionality to the racial turmoil in St. Louis. And until we get real about that, tell the truth about that, we will be where we are.
Thank you, Pastor Blackman. Rabbi Talby, what are you seeing?
You know, listening to Reverend Blackman, brings back so many memories of, 6 years ago. She put out a call the day after Mike Brown was murdered, and had many of her pastor friends and rabbi friend show up at the police department. And that was what we heard that day. We heard people saying, there are two Fergusons here, and there are going to be protests tonight. If there's going to be violence tonight, if you don't start to recognize this. And then we heard the young people that, these beautiful faces that you're showing right now, these amazing young people who have really gone on to change things, really gone on to do great things. And they said, see me, look at me. I'm a nurse, I'm a mother, I'm a person. And, that's what got me. White people don't like feeling that tension, that racial tension. But once you feel it, that's what Ferguson was about. It was about, if you've got to feel this tension. If things are going to change, white people really had to feel the racial tension that people of color feel every moment of every day here. And until that gets inside of you so that you can't sleep at night as a white person because your friends' children are at risk out there, nothing's going to change. And I think, I'm hoping that that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see white people wake up and say, until everybody is free here, nobody's going to be free. And I think we have a lot of things to change, and I think there's a lot of things that are working against real change, and I think that's what we have to be really smart about, to pay attention to that.
What needs to change, Rabbi Talby?
Well, look at what we talked about in Ferguson, and the Ferguson report told us exactly what to change. We can't have 91 municipalities that are all dependent on, fines and warrants and, getting poor people, and mostly people of color, putting them in jail so that there's bail. Whenever we would go to the police departments, these small police departments, whether it was in Ferguson or in Pine Lawn or in all these other places, the first thing you see when you walk in there is an ATM, right?
That's true.
Right? There's ATMs in every one of them because, how do we support all these things? On the backs of poor people. And so I'm thrilled that we've closed the workhouse, because I think that was a really important symbolic thing, where people who could not afford bail, ended up being in jail, and people would say, well, this is where they're getting drug counseling, this is where they're getting mental health. Well, we can do better than give people drug counseling and mental health support in jail, right? So I love that we're closing the workhouse. I think that's a really important coup. But we have so many things that are wrong here. The segregation that exists here, so that people, again, don't live with each other, with the tension that people of color live with every day here. The segregation that white people can go and hide from it is really sabotaging any efforts for real change.
Dr. Kraus, your perspective, please.
Well, thank you so much, Shirley, and it's just wonderful to hear my colleagues and friends reflecting on this, and for you all to have taken this time to study and think about this issue with St. Louis. I was, as Rabbi Talby was just sharing and reflecting on what Reverend Blackman has shared, I think where we've come from Ferguson and now through the protests surrounding the murder of George Floyd, the kind of growth of Black Lives Matter, the growth of crowds and protest, is maybe what we're seeing is the death rattle of white supremacy in St. Louis and in our nation. But the problem is it's still really deadly. And if we can see it as a sign of hope, I think in St. Louis, between Ferguson and now, we can see, as Rabbi Talby was referencing, the closing of the workhouse. Well, that was That was an organizing effort of young Black people who came together, many of them out of Ferguson, intending to make real structural systemic change. And they organized around policies to do that. Close the Workhouse certainly has been an important victory. But initially that was seen as a non-starter. You're never going to get the older people to move on that. But look how they have, and that's their incredible, wise and savvy organizing that has brought that about. But there are, as Reverend Blackman was mentioning in the Missouri legislature, opposing forces that are organizing on the other side. As we've had this incredible election, bringing Kim Gardner and Tashara Jones and Cori Bush, who's on the program tonight, into closer to office and really into power in St. Louis and in Missouri. We see the Missouri legislature organizing and playing all kinds of dirty tricks to leverage their power to resist Black women leaders coming into power in St. Louis and in Missouri. And so I think we're in the middle of a struggle. And I believe that we will win. This is a chant out of Ferguson that I learned, and it still echoes in the streets of St. Louis, and it's a powerful statement of hope, and I know it is true.
All right, Reverend Stansel, what are you seeing from your perspective, sir?
Well, I agree with everything that's been said. I think the killing of George Floyd brought consciousness to our reality. And we live this reality every day. And now people are beginning to see the reality that African Americans live every day. As I think it was Reverend Blackman just stated, we saw a unholy agenda in Jefferson City that tried to overcome the will of the people. African Americans are lamenting. We're lamenting over, we are fighting two pandemics. We have a pandemic that is chasing us in this COVID-19 that is affecting us in larger numbers. We are facing the pandemic of racism. And so we lament every day that we go outside because we're being chased by these pandemics. And then on top of that, when we are told that our most powerful tool, which it is the vote, but then we see the unholy alliance in Jefferson City try to overcome or override the voice of the people. And it again shows us how far we have to go and that the fight still continues and that we're still wrestling with so many injustices that stems from racism, economic injustice that also stems from racism. So, and I think the thing we're seeing that young people now are standing up. They're standing up and they're standing tall and they're standing strong. And you see many of the leaders that are standing with them. And I think, again, I hope that we're seeing the end of racism. But I don't believe we are. I think the fight is going to continue, and we have a very, very long way to go before we see the end of something that is so deeply rooted in who we are as Americans. You know, we all have problems. You know, no matter what color of your, no matter where you come from, your economic background, the color of your skin, we all have problems. But it's exacerbated when your skin color is your problem. I think Reverend Blackman said it that way, and that's what we're fighting. That on top of the problems that we face, our major problem is our skin color. And so we have to continue to stand up and fight. We have to continue to be vocal, and we have to continue to make sure that we put people in office that are fair-minded and that will fight against injustice.
All right, thank you, sir. Pastor Chung, what are you seeing from your perspective, sir?
Yeah, there is so much that I could touch on that has already been touched on, but if I could bring up something I also see in the midst of all the chaos, the struggle, the pain, the hardship, the birth pains of what I believe is a brighter future. It is happening because there are men and women who are willing to do something different than what has been done in previous generations. And there is a beauty in our young people today who are standing up and saying, this is wrong. this is murder, this is ungodly, and we must do what is right. And I think the beauty of that isn't just seen in a city like this that is predominantly viewed as a black and white city. As a Korean American man in this city, I can tell you that what we're finding more and more is a city united, that people of color are not just sitting there and saying, well, that's a black and white issue and it's not my race or my ethnicity that's involved. But we're able to say, as Koreans, as Chinese, as Japanese, as Indians, as Latin Americans, as Europeans, we can all say Black Lives Matter. We can all say this issue matters. Racism cannot stand and must not stand. And this is a voice that I feel like is rising up in this season that hasn't risen up in years past. And I'm so thankful to be part of a city that has continued to cry out against injustice and for what is right, and has drawn people into that fight winsomely, lovingly, and passionately.
And tell us a little bit about your anti-racism work, Pastor Chung.
Well, I am working in a church that is a multicultural, multi-ethnic church. And the fact that they would even call a person of color, a minority, into pastoral leadership at their church speaks volumes of the church that I get to serve in. And in that, they're open to conversations and discussions and actually going out. Our church had the privilege of going out on a prayer walk together, going down U City and praying that the Lord would do something mighty for the sake of St. Louis and for the good of its people. And so the conversations we have are against, simple party lines or against socioeconomic lines, but to say, won't our God come and bridge that reality through his people and through the people of this city?
Dr. Orozco, tell us from your viewpoint, sir, what you were saying.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be part of the conversation. Just wanted to, again, echo some of what people have said already, but maybe provide a couple observations. One is, I think part of what we're seeing too, it's a social and digital culture that in some ways is also contributing to this narrative of division. And I think for many of us as religious leaders, as people who work with different communities, it's important to pay attention to that in the midst of this challenge of racism, this narrative of division, which I don't think it's the full story. And I think it really, it's up to us and all of us to begin to change that narrative that says, we are us versus them. Certainly there are challenges, and racism, as we all know, it's a sin, it's a limitation in our humanity, and we need to be attentive to that. So I think this you see this also in the digital culture and social media, and I think all of us are very attentive to that. The other piece I would add is that the communities we accompany and serve are very diverse, and the issues are different and felt differently. I'm thinking of the context of COVID-19 that we're all facing, and in particular with the Hispanic, but other communities as well, the immigrant and refugee communities, for example, in our midst. Many of them live in the shadows. Many of them don't have the privileges that we have, a green card or access to move and do the ordinary things. So when we think about these aspects of racism, I always think it's important to remember that each community feels it differently. Each community it moves through it differently. And I think, as others have said, there are socioeconomic and health disparities. I think studies have shown that in the midst of racism, there's this other dimension. So I just would like to highlight in particular and remember our immigrant brothers and sisters, our refugees, for whom I think some of these protests, peaceful protests, this voice of solidarity is making a real positive change, because many times they're afraid to go into the street, to go into the grocery store. And so the more we can together support those peaceful manifestations, those calls to change, to justice, I think will certainly reinforce and certainly affirm the diversity of our communities, but also lift those that perhaps are not able to be there.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us this evening and for sharing your perspectives. Well, protesters are not only taking to the streets calling for change, some are campaigning and winning major elections. We'll talk with Democratic nominee Cori Bush about her stunning victory in the Missouri primary after the break. Stay with us.